go and look.
It's just crazy.
Oh, look at that.
Hey,
What?
this is Chris and Ken coming at you again with the weekly report. 60 minutes of all the bullshit that we can fit. Occasionally some news, some product, and we're live on Facebook. So, Ken, what's going on this week?
Yes, we are. Gosh, I don't know, man. It's been a whirlwind of a week for me. What's going? Right? Yeah, what's going on with you? My weekend was filled with hunting in Wyoming, so I had to jump back into it on Monday full force, and it was it's been a week. It's good though, man. Lot going on.
I mean, the biggest thing for me right now is it's it's deadline for us here in the office. We have a million things going on other than the fact that it's deadline. We're getting for the Galveston show, obviously, and Motion is coming up. And I do have one big piece of news just to announce, sort of in brief. The Grease and Gears Garage thing that we've worked on for several of the rallies throughout this year and the year before, where we have builders and craftsmen come on stage, and we actually publish that stuff Facebook Live. We've been given a contract to take that to all 7 IMS shows. So this year, all the shows of IMS, the International Motorcycle Shows by Progressive, are going to have a featured stage for Grease and Gears Garage. That's my big announcement.
That's amazing. That's good stuff right there.
It is pretty cool. I mean, this is a time really where custom motorcycling could really use a platform like this. The IMS shows are really professional. They're very well done, very well attended. And although they cover a lot of great stuff, custom bikes, everything from the industry, it'd be really nice to have a place inside of that format that custom motorcycle builders, craftsmen, artisan can actually showcase their work, and we can keep the interest for that part of this industry alive.
Yeah, agreed.
So, super excited. I'll definitely have more stuff coming out about that as soon as we get some.
Great. Sorry, I'm trying to share this feed on my... Yeah, anyway, I'll do it later. I can't get it on my personal page. I'm anyway.
Victim of technology. There's no
there. Yeah, for sure. What do you want to start with? You want to start with some news?
Yeah. There's so much stuff to talk about this week.
There really is. One, I'm gonna. You know what? There's some I didn't send you. I want to start with a bit of fake news, which is I was trolling the internet and I saw an article on a fairly reputable site saying that BSA has been resurrected, and there were a bunch of pictures of some bikes that looked really cool. And then I read further, and that actually started, I guess, in 2014, and supposedly they were supposed to have something by 2018. It's a company out of India, and the pictures are just some guy's interpretation of what they should look like, but there's actually, it's just not even, they just kind of took two stories and put them together, and it's really, so as far as I know, BSA is not being reintroduced. But I was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, this will be awesome.
Like another Royal Inn, and then I started reading. I'm like, oh, this is like fake news. But anyway,
you had my heart going there for a minute because I'm thinking, I know with all the talk about fake news going on today, I'm like, oh my god, where are we going?
Yeah, what's going on here?
All right.
What about do you want to tell people about the website? That's kind of a big deal.
It is.
I mean, I know it's going to be a little while, but I think it's good to let people.
Too much longer, actually, man. I mean, anybody who's been hip to Cycle Source magazine and follow us, we sort of use our website as a hub for everything that we do, and almost like the big news agencies like CNN or any of the deals like that, we try to have all of the stuff on our website is compartmentalized, and it's been a labor of love over the years, and I've tried to keep up with it as best I can, but the truth is I'm not a coder or a programmer, so we finally got in touch with some of those, and we're having it completely reworked, and man, it's amazing, and it's so functional, and it's just killer.
Yeah, it seems to have decluttered it quite a bit. You sent me kind of a link of what it, potentially is going to look like, and it just really cleaned it up, and I think it's going to make it really easy for people to kind of go through and search, and a lot more searchable. So that's going to be great. Yeah.
Hopefully, two great guests coming on today. For anybody that's just tuning in, we got Ryan Gore from Paper Street Customs and Jeff Cochran. They'll both be guests on the show today. Both of those guys are invited builders to the In Motion show, so we'll be calling them up here in a little bit after we get through some of the news.
Nice.
Pretty exciting. A lot of good stuff, man. A lot of hype coming up, and people are getting really enthusiastic about the In Motion show. The builders are getting fired up. I'm watching some of the bikes are off the hook. Yeah, I've been watching a little bit of the progress on some people's bikes as well, and there's some really nice stuff going on out there for sure. People are definitely putting their best foot forward and taking it really seriously. Well, most of them, right?
There's always a few that are like, I'll just bring that bike I built 4 years ago or whatever. But hopefully that's going to be few and far between.
Dude, I talked to one of the builders yesterday who will remain nameless for this broadcast.
Oh, come on, let's hear it.
And he was one of the guys that helped me come on to the idea of this show way early on. He goes, dude, if I don't get my gas tank done by Monday, he said, I'm not going to have this bike finished. And I went, do you know how bad that would be for you not to have a bike finished for this show, since you were one of the guys that invented it? You know how bad that would be, man? Really? So
yeah. You just get somebody else to make it.
Good luck with that. Not for these guys. These guys are all about making all this stuff.
No, I know,
themselves.
I know for sure.
So you want to move on to the Ricky Rackman ride?
Sure. Yeah, Ricky's ride. I've actually worked with Ricky he was one of the first people I think on my podcast, and he's been doing this ride for several years now, and this year he really kind of stepped it up a notch. And the biggest thing that happened was last year he actually had a sponsor, a charity that he was sponsoring, and he raised some money for him. But this year, Claire's Place Foundation, she's a young woman who I think it's cystic fibrosis, I believe. Mm-hmm. And all the money goes directly to helping families that have kids with cystic fibrosis. And he raised over $20,000. He just presented that check to her, I think this last week. Had a lot of help from sponsors, including Death Wish Coffee, which everybody knows famously from the Super Bowl ads. And they've been working with Ricky forever. Hot Leathers and Law Tigers all came on, and I think he had a few other. I think Simpson Helmets maybe gave him a helmet, and Indian Motorcycle gave him a bike.
No kidding.
Yeah, they gave him a bike to ride. So that was great that he had that opportunity, and I think it's just going to keep going further and further, and he's just going to keep using that platform to help do good. And he went to all 48 states. So that's
so cool.
No joke there, yeah.
So cool. So, I dig him, man. He's a blast. He's a blast to be around, and the stories. If you're lucky enough to spend any time with this cat and get next to him and hear some of the stories of back in the day.
Oh, we'll have him on. We'll have him on next few weeks. Oh, for sure.
That'd be so awesome.
He's got some great stories for sure. We'll get him. He's Skype savvy. We'll get him actually on the show, so people can see him and stuff.
I got a chance in Sturgis, what was it, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
To be backstage with Ricky and Gilby Clark. And
mm-hmm.
they were talking about old back in the day stories of, after hours at the Viper Room with Guns N' Roses and the parties and shit that went on. Jesus.
Stuff.
Yeah. It was. So hey, while we're sitting here talking about this, are monitoring all the traffic through Facebook Live while you and I are broadcasting. So
cool.
Anybody who wants to get on, make a comment, let us know you're here, let us know what you think. If you have a topic even that you would like to hear us cover in the weekly report, bring it up. We'll do our best to address it. I got the computer here off to the side, and I'm trying to check on that from time to time to see what your comments are. So send them out to us, and we'll do some interaction.
Cool.
brother.
Yeah, for sure. AFT, American Flat Track. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Those finals happened. Kind of an interesting thing happened as well. Right after those finals, Indian announced, that they're, offering some serious incentives to privateers to ride that FTR 750, which is pretty cool. I think it was, I want to say $150,000.
Really?
In kind of, additional prize money for anybody that wants to go and buy one of those FTR 750s and go and race it. And so that's pretty cool. And it also shows their investment into, kind of the flat track racing community, and that this isn't just a flash in the pan. We did an interview with Jared Meese earlier this year, right?
Yeah.
Before I think he was in the running to be, he was heading things up, but he wasn't quite there yet in terms of how well he was doing. And then, man, he just whooped up this year on that bike, dude.
Yeah, Jared's a badass, man. He's no joke.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and those bikes are badass as well. Not only do they have some of the best riders, those bikes are just fire.
I got a chance to way early on, like when the Scout 60 first came out, they took us to a dry lake bed outside of Vegas, and we got to ride the Roland Sands prepared hooligan bikes. Mm-hmm. And just those things, dude, they were so disgustingly fast. And at the time, they had said that, they very little modifications. Like the only thing they really did to those bikes was, intake and exhaust modification. It was real simple procedures that they did to it. And they were stupid fast. So I imagine there was a little bit of computer work done or something, but crazy, crazy fast motorcycles. So I can't imagine, like, when a race team has access to unobtainium, the kind of technology that are in those motors. I can't.
Well, and S&S was pretty much, they were the ones behind the scenes, I believe, working on all those bikes and getting them going, right?
Yeah. Well, I heard rumors of that. I mean, I don't know how above the board.
You don't know how public that is?
If that's still top secret. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I think it was pretty. Anyway, all right, moving on. One of the things, I don't. You don't have a problem promoting other magazines, but no. American Iron this month, Dane talks about going and riding that FTR 50. Which is pretty cool. He's got a really cool story about, I think doing that 20 years ago, maybe with a different bike,
right.
And going and doing it this year with that FTR, and got a couple pictures of him on some just like slimy track somewhere in the Midwest where
he's the best.
Yeah, it was a really good article. So Dane's a good guy. We should get him on here sometime. He's got some great stories too. He's been around forever.
He really was like coming up, man, in journalism. Dane really took me under his wing early on, and he's just a really good guy.
Yes, agreed.
Well, let's try to bring on our first caller. How about that?
Yeah. Why don't you try doing that, and I'm just going to run through kind of top three. So Meese was top, and then it looks like, who was it? Brian Smith and Brad Baker were right behind him, and then Jeff Carver got that. So it looks like there's a lot of competition there, but Indian is definitely on top of the heap. Which is cool stuff.
Where are they at? Because I've lost track with how crazy busy. Like, where are they at in the season? Is that the season?
Oh, they're done.
The season's wrapped. Yeah.
Yeah, they're done. So this next season's going to kick off in Daytona in March. So
Daytona was a killer race this year, man. I mean, I can't even imagine what they're going to come out with.
Yeah. So, I mean, the AFT twins, Jared Meese, Carver got second. This is from Paris, and then JD Beach got third. So. That's from the 7th. That's from last weekend. So, good stuff, man.
Well, let's see what we can do about a call-in guest. Our first guest today, he I like to say this quite frequently about his work, other than the fact that it's amazing, completely drenched in details, but he was probably responsible for coining the phrase modern bobber. I mean, he took what was traditionally thought to be a bobber by design and mixed it with a new generation twist, and through a little company he and a friend of his launched called Sucker Punch Sally's, he really launched the next generation revolution. So we're going to bring on Jeff Cochran today, hopefully here in a second, and try to get an interview about In Motion.
Awesome. Yeah, there was Jeff and I did a podcast not that long ago where we got to sit down and kind of talk through some of those old days. So
yeah,
if you get a chance, it's worth listening to. He talks kind of about the genesis of
Hello, this is
Sucker
Jeff.
Punch. And
hey Jeff, how you doing, man?
That.
This is Chris and Ken from the Weekly Report, and you're live with us.
Hey, Chris and Ken, how you guys doing today?
Good, buddy. It's good to hear from you. Good to hear your voice.
You too, man. Ken, what's going on over there? Anything good?
Ken is
I can't. I don't hear Ken.
Ken's stuck on audio. You might hear Ken, but I don't know if he can hear you.
All right. Ask Ken about the time I gave him $100 to shave his head and 29 palms.
Ask Ken about the time he gave you $100 with 29 palms.
To shave his head.
To shave his head. No.
Yeah, he did it.
No.
He did it too. Yeah, don't think he didn't. He did it.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it was like a Marine Corps mohawk.
So what's going on, man? How you guys doing today?
We're good, man. We're good. We're just going over some of the latest news for this week in motorcycling, and your name comes up an awful lot, and we're talking about the In Motion show coming to Texas, and we wanted to see where you're at with that and how things are going. What do you think about the show?
Oh, man, I'm excited. Actually, I got a call this morning from somebody in the Houston area that wasn't aware that I was coming. He wanted to come here and visit me here in my town, but I told him I would just see him there next month, Right I have a good customer base in Texas. I wasn't aware of it that much, but it's really good. I've shipped, I would say, over half the bikes I built this year went to Texas,
Yeah.
So it's really good. Should be a good show.
Texas is
customers.
really coming along with the custom industry, man. I mean, along with all the different shops that are down there, they're friends of ours. I mean, you got the Hand Built Show, you got the Giddy Up, and guys are they're hungry. They're hungry for stuff in Texas. Yeah,
man, and it seems like, man, everybody I've come in contact with are just really good, solid, nice people. You know what I mean? It's not, it's a really good feel. I'm excited to be there.
Yeah. So, what do you think? What do you got? Or where are you at on your bike? What do you think about, what some of the other guys? I'm catching little Instagram clips here and there.
Oh, I'm done. I've got three here to choose from. I don't know. Since you invited me to do it, I've done actually 4 bikes since then. I've just trying to decide which one to go. I like them all, so that's going to be the hardest part, picking out which one to take. I did the white bike that was just on your cover there, and
yeah.
Not very many people have got to see that bike. So I've had some people ask me to please bring it. So it may come with me. I'll bring my little gray work truck I ride. And,
right on.
I don't know. It should be fun.
Well, hey, listen. In some other news, it was just recently that they released a show that they shot of you getting your stuff ready and getting ready to go for Mama Tried this year, right? That was at Chopper Town.
Yeah, the Chopper Town movie, man. That was fun. There's some really good people, man. We had a great time with them here at the house. They spent a week with us here at the house, me and my wife, and man, just really good people, man. Easy to get along with, and the end product was exactly what I was hoping for. When they called me, and I declined. Naturally, I'm kind of private, but they assured me that they would shine me in the light that I prefer. So it worked out good, man. I was really happy with the end product. It's kind of embarrassing to watch. I've only seen it once. So I've only seen it one time, and I can't go back. It kind of makes me uncomfortable, but it was pretty cool, man.
Man, from somebody else's perspective, the thing that I like the most about it is it was natural. there's so much bullshit that goes on in TV when it applies to, our industry and our culture and the behind the scenes today. But that was really a real natural look at your life and, your relationship with your wife and your commitment to your craft and stuff. I think it was perfect. It was very well done.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's why, like I said, I was kind of apprehensive at first. I didn't want to be that, I'm not a big, competitive person when it comes to my, my peers in the industry. So I didn't want it to be that, but when they assured me that it was just basically life and times and family and, no bullshit about it, just really what I do during the day, I signed on and was happy to be a part of it. And man, they really did shine it in a nice light. It was exactly what I was hoping for,
So listen, before we got you on here, I actually did a little lead-in where I talked about the fact that, I say this often, and I fully believe that the style of motorcycle that you built kind of launched the whole next generation revolution that we went through about 10 years ago, and also is probably responsible for a redefinition of what Barber, like we almost have to say modern Barber now when we talk about the differences between the kind of Barber that you sort of kicked the style off of. And what do you think about that, man? That's pretty tall. Like, we were just a bunch of kids once upon a time running around like crazy, and now all of a sudden that's kind of heavy, right?
Oh, I know, dude. That's serious. It's very humbling that you even said that. Those are some kind words, but I knew, at that time when all of that was happening that, I was really narrow-minded about what I liked, and I didn't know if the masses was behind that at the time or not, but I knew, I was really biased to what I, preferred and what I assumed a motorcycle should be. So fortunately, when I started doing a few of them, realized that, there's a lot of other like-minded people out there that were on the same page, and man, it just never really slowed down. I still really have a good time with it. I'm how I am. I'm selective. I don't, it's not just about the money thing. If I don't like to do it, I won't do it, even if I need the money. I prefer to do what I like, the stuff that makes me happy. And then, I find that the customer is usually, my kind of person also. I've created some really good friends with customers that are just, they love these motorcycles, like we do. We think about it every day,
Yes, sir.
So it worked out great.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, man, if anybody has some questions out there on Facebook, you want to send some comments, I'm watching that while we're talking to Jeff. What else do you have coming up for Speed King?
Let me see. Well, hopefully, I just released the new Signature Series swing arms for the shovel heads and the pan heads that really went well. I wasn't quite prepared for the how quick they all went. They lasted. The first batch, which how you invest and you get scared that like, oh, man, here's all my money. I've invested all my money in this project, and I've probably been working on it for the past 6 months, and man, they lasted 11 hours. So the first batch completely wiped me out fast. So thrashing now to get them done. I've got a bike on the table, and I'm doing fluids as we speak. It's going to be on the ground and gassing it today and running. That one's going to Seattle. One just left for Houston Sunday. I got another one here going to Houston. That's for another customer, in Texas again, like we spoke about. I've got a lot going, man. I stay really busy.
Well, baby, I'll tell you, they say a rolling stone will gather no moss, and brother, you are putting that to the test.
Dude, I pushed it hard.
That's
pushed
no
it
kidding.
hard. Yeah, it is. We had a late night last night, man. We lost one of our furry friends about 2:00 this morning, and so we were up late and had a kind of a weird morning. How you just kind of wander around the days for a second, but while I'm doing that, my PSA is petfinder.com. Adopt a pet. Don't buy it from a breeder if you can help it. Get you a pet online. You won't regret it. I promise.
There you go.
That's my PSA for the day.
Well, you guys have done such incredible work over the years. Like, if you guys aren't familiar with the fact that during the whole sucker punch thing, like they always had these cool ass posters that said "spay your bitch," and I mean, as far as work with with animals,
my wife Beverly is active in the animal world, and that's her only vice and her biggest passion. So it works out really good, man. It helps, man. I've got a little shop cat here that lives in the shop with me that There's bad days when, you're stressed out. She keeps me calm, helps me out. So I don't see how anybody could do without it, but it really helps me out.
Well, right on, man. I appreciate you taking the time with us today, dude, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing your bike and spending some time with you in Texas. So I can't wait.
Oh, man, it's going to be fabulous. Is Ken coming with us?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting like a 15-second delay on everything.
Yeah. We're still working out some of the bugs of this stuff, So it is. That's all right. It is. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll probably see you next week in Daytona. Probably then. If I get all this work done, I'll be in Daytona. As of right now, if it all goes as planned, I'll be there. If it doesn't, if I have a snag, I'm not going to make it, but I'll definitely be in Texas for sure. That's my main objective right now.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll see you there for sure.
All right, brother. You guys take it easy, man. Have a great day.
Okay, Jeff, man. Thank you so much.
Later, bye.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely one of the best, that guy. I've been lucky enough to call him a friend for so long, and it's such a pleasure to see him do well through all the ups and downs of this industry, and it's fantastic that he's on board with InMotion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I rode the shit out of that bike that he built as his work truck for Smokeout.
Yeah.
It was right. That's when you and I met. I was riding that bike. And I rode that from here to Salt Flats.
Yep.
After I had ridden it to Sturgis, and just rode the piss out of that thing. And, that was 12 years ago, I think, because I got it right before my son just turned 12. So I've had that thing for 12 years now. So, and it's still going strong, a little bit different iteration, but that thing's way fun and good times. So.
And it's kind of the mentality of the builders like Jeff. The reason why we're doing this show to begin with, you know what I mean? Like there's no question about whether or not a Speed King built motorcycle runs or not. No. You could ride the hell out of his bikes, and that's what we wanted to get back to. Where a lot of these things there's no question about whether they're going to run. It's a motorcycle first, and that's what it's about. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and he has like he said, he's got that kind of distinctive taste of what he likes, and I really appreciate the fact that he doesn't vary from that. And it's not that he's not open to it; he just knows what he likes. And I think that's great, and I think the evolution that he's had into some of these swing arm bikes. I mean, they made a swinger bike, if you remember that, back when it was Sucker Punch Sally's. And what a great idea to make a custom bike that's got a little bit of cushion in the back, but still looks awesome. So good stuff.
So hey, the Born Free 2018 list is up, right? You got something?
Yeah, I don't know any of these guys. I was just gonna tell you what an old unattached guy I am, because I'm looking at these guys and I know.
Oh, I know a few of these cats.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. Out of the 29 builders. So I guess I really need to step it up, man.
I
don't know, man. I'm I'm out of the loop, apparently.
No, listen, man. It's so hard anymore, because it's not like back in the day when there was 5 or 6 guys across the country that were out at the shows and absolutely at the top of the game. Then we came through the whole introduction of the next generation. There was more, and motorcycle got more popular, and there was even more. And today, it's really hard. I mean, you gotta keep up. You would definitely think that people with a weekly show would know some of these names. Like one of the two of us should probably get on this shit.
Yeah, you would think. But and I actually haven't ever. Have you been out to Born Free?
I have, and it's.
I've never been there, so I'm completely. I don't know what the scene's like. I don't know, you know, it's always kind of a weird time of year for me where it's super busy and I've just got a lot going on. So it's always conflicts with something. So,
you know, it was, the area is a lot like the area of Love Ride, you know, if you've ever been to one of the Love Rides. So it's sort of like that. It's that kind of terrain. And I mean, it was cool. It was a cool one-day show, you know, a lot of great old bikes and, you know, old bike people to talk to and stuff, because people come out of the woodwork for it. You know, it's a real scene. So
yeah, for sure.
It was a good time, though.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm glad for those guys. I mean, they've done, you know, they took something from nothing, and I think that really talks about that kind of next generation, and you know, that's what needs to happen in order for us to keep this going, which I think kind of leads into, you know, that next piece, which is, you know, them introducing the MIC, introducing their ride program.
Yeah.
You know, which, you know, they would be smart to go to places like Born Free if they really want to start, you know, recruiting younger riders. You know, I think it's great that they're going after the mainstream. So if anybody doesn't know what the ride program is, I don't know what ride stands for. Something. Anyways. Oh, no, Inspiration.
Yeah.
Experience, instruction, and inspiration.
I was like, wait, that doesn't spell ride, man.
Anything. So what they're doing is they're taking this to, they're going to take rider education for kids specifically to the Monster Truck Jam. So they're going to, I believe, 10 different cities. They're going to have everything from, you know, kids who don't know how to ride at all, getting them geared up, to ATVs, to virtual experiences, and I believe some experiences for adults as well. The footprint, I heard, is just enormous, like 30,000 square feet or, you know, 50,000 square feet. It's something huge that they're going to put in the parking lot. And I think, you know, that is a great way to get to young riders, new riders, but I also feel like, you know, a lot of these events that we go to, you know, they could really benefit from that as well. You know, I'm not saying like Sturgis and Laconia, but like, you know, the Born Frees, even, you know, Lone Star Rally, you know, some of these bigger rallies where, you know, people are, you know, would be more, you know, a lot of them aren't necessarily kid friendly, but the ones that are, you know, like, let's do it, man, you know.
There's a lot more. And, you know, that whole topic of, you know, family-friendly atmosphere. I mean, motorcycling's always had kids around. That's how a lot of us got involved in this to begin with. But,
sure,
you know, the one thing that I'd like to say on the topic of this, it's so fantastic because I'm sure it's a mountain of money that MIC and, you know, whoever their partners are investing in this to get something going on behalf of youth outreach. But what's happening in the middle? So now you have MIC going the whole way back to actual youth outreach, kids, getting kids, making investments.
Which is going to be 10 years. Yeah. Decade. Yep.
And you have a larger part of the industry focusing on the millennials, which, you know, seriously, by my account, we're at least 5 years before the millennials start to be legitimate customers for a lot of the new products of this industry. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So what's
happening? They're just too young. I mean, when you and I were that age, I was dreaming about owning a bike like that, and I had probably a Honda Shadow or something. You know, like there was just no way I was going to buy a new motorcycle. No, you know,
you didn't have the credit, you didn't have the budget, and I mean, we cobbled together whatever we could, and we rode, and we had a hell of a good time, which is exactly what goes on now.
Yeah, exactly.
But what are people doing about the middle? You know, because this is something I preach about all the time. Because here you have, you know, the baby boomers was a great big trend once upon a time. The millennials is going to be another boom of population, but in the middle, there's generation, X, Y, like that whole crossover thing there.
I think you and I might be X.
And we're starting to be that consumer now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like this industry as a whole has kind of skipped over our whole generation and even any kind of concern for reaching out to this generation, and they're just ready to move on to the next one, you know?
Well, you know, I think part of what happened, and this is just 100% conjecture, is that when we started getting primed for that, the industry just took a dump. and everybody just started scrambling, trying to figure out how to get dollars, and we got kind of kicked by the wayside. And there were a bunch of things that happened, stuff that you and I were involved with, whether it was, the blacklist, Limp Nicky, those types of things that really, I think, speak to our generation a lot more. And I think there's some things that are going on out there that are speaking to it. I think Indian getting with Steve Caballero, that's really cool stuff that I think speaks to our generation. I mean, who is it in our generation that doesn't know Bones Brigade and Steve Caballero, right? I mean, that's it right there, or a piece of it. And I think, so I think they're really, at least in my opinion, they're really the only ones that are really reaching out to that demographic that really could be potential consumers at this point, and have a real buying power. So I mean, we're in our mid 40s, and that's when people are starting to kids are starting to get older, and you're feeling like you want to bust out and do other stuff. And
absolutely. I mean, right now, look at Heather and I. Our bills are caught up. Our kids off to school. Like this is the time where we start looking at making some of those decisions. But I still believe that in an effort to reach out to millennials, the best efforts that are going on today that might be attractive to Generation X are they're still just by accident because people are trying to reach out to millennials.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, when I look at those Harley ads and even, some of the Indian stuff, kind of their marketing materials, it's not that I don't agree with them. They just don't speak to me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so dark and it's like, I just don't, I'm like, I don't get it, I'm just an old fart, I guess.
And that was the funny thing, going back to the ride thing, because I don't want to take away from this at all. It's incredible what these guys are
huge.
Doing,
but it's huge.
It came up in what the keynote presentation at the AIM Expo. This was when they announced ride and everything, and it was great, At the same time, like through their opening dialogue, everybody started talking about the fact that that we needed to focus more on the people than the machines, and how there were big questions about what to do to invite the millennials, to attract the millennials into our industry, which was surprising to me because, just like I said, the economics of it are the same. When you were young, you put together whatever you could. You went and had a good time. Well,
sure.
The philosophies that brought me into motorcycling are the same ones that apply to the younger generation today. If it's a drag, they're not going to be part of it. If
it's super corporate, it's not going to be. You're not going to want to be a part of it. If it's like really polished, you're not going to want to be a part of it. Yeah. I agree. And I think there's a few. A few events out there that are kind of speaking to that more as well, and I think the Greasing Gears Garage really shows that, because people that, it's weird, but the sense that I get is that people, when they can't go to Sturgis, let's say, but they can sit there on their computer and watch, Will Ramsey put together a frame, or Tom Kiefer do a carb, upgrade or whatever it was that he did up there. I think those are the kind of things that people look at and they go, man, that's cool. And that makes them want to be a part of it, and I think that that's really valuable. And so I think for you to be able to get out there on the road, and get to, IMS, get to those 7 cities, I think that the amount of engagement you're going to get live is going to be great, right? But the amount of engagement you're going to get online is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
Literally. I think it's just, I hope you're ready for the onslaught, because I think that engagement right there is, people are going to go, what?
Well, like I said, this is an important thing to do for custom motorcycling. Like this is a time where we really need to put a stake in the ground for custom motorcycling.
Agreed.
So hey, let's try to bring in our next call-in guest. You
Yeah.
good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
Hello.
hey Ryan, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
So this is Chris and Ken, and you're live with the weekly report. Let me just announce my guest, since I sort of hit the button real quick on the call. Ryan Gore with Paper Street Customs. He's been on the cover of our magazine a couple times. Incredible work. I met this cat for the first time at Vegas Bike Fest. Saw him through a couple shows, and we were lucky enough to invite him out to In Motion at the Lone Star Rally this year. Ryan, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Good, buddy. You working on that motorcycle?
I am. I got everything out at paint and powder right now, so I'm just kind of doing some polishing and getting ready to go through the motor and trans, make sure everything's ship-shape.
Now, you have a pretty intense knack for details. I'm throwing some pictures of your motorcycle up right now while we're talking, and this was the one that was on our cover. And man, like the amazing amount of small things that you touch and give attention to on a motorcycle, I really think sets you apart from other builders.
Thanks, man. I try. I really appreciate the impact that a lot of subtle details can have. Like, anybody can gold plate the whole motorcycle, and then you're like, wow, awesome, gold motorcycle. But I don't know. I kind of like the impact that a lot of small, subtle details can have. I like my favorite bikes are the bikes that I see new shit on every time I look at it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see everything at a glance. I want, I like people to pass by my bikes, look at it, and be like, oh, cool shovel head, and then look at it again and be like, oh, but look how he did that, or look how he did this.
Well, and that's sort of that's where all this starts for me. That's what drew my attention to you as a builder and your motorcycles. Was 3 or 4 times that first time in Vegas I walked past that bike, I was seeing new stuff every time, and I was like, man, I got to meet the cat that's doing this work.
Yeah, I like to sneak up on people.
Right on. So what do you think? I mean, the other day, I don't know if you heard the interview that we had with Will Ramsey. Will was pretty much of the opinion that this show is yours to take.
Well, that's nice of him. What a sweetheart. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just do my thing, man. If people like it, great. If they don't, that's cool too. But no, I appreciate him saying that. I'm trying to put in some work on this thing and just do what I do,
Well, it's funny. It seemed like only even just a month ago there wasn't so much attention on all of this, and all of a sudden all this energy, man, people were ramping up, and I got builders calling me with questions, and they're watching other guys doing stuff, and they're, conveying to me their sense of urgency for their deadlines, and it's funny how much just in the last week things have changed and the tide is rolling.
Yeah, it definitely gained momentum in the last week for sure.
What do you think about this? So this is a first-time show, first-time concept of, multi-level judging, the criteria the bike's having to run. We're taking them on a shakedown ride first. What do you think of the overall makeup?
I think it's really cool, and I'm super stoked to be part of it. But at the same time, it's kind of sad. Like, our little corner of the world's so out of whack right now that we actually have to have a show that says your bike has to run. You know what I mean? Like, I was having lunch with a friend yesterday, and you were sending me some of the promo stuff, and I was showing it to her, and she doesn't know anything about motorcycles or custom bike building. She knows I do it, but that's about it. And she kept seeing where it said they have to run, and she asked me, she was like, well, don't they always have to run?
Yeah.
And, like, if a 30-year-old physical therapist from San Diego can figure that out, how can guys that do it for a living not get it?
Yeah. Well, and you know,
So I don't know, man. I don't get it. If people want to build bikes that don't run, good for them. But for me, like, that's the payoff. Riding, it's the reward.
There you go.
I like building bikes, but I don't know that I would say it's fun. Like, most days I sit on a stool and covered in grease and metal shavings, reevaluating my life choices. Like, when you stomp on the kicker pedal and it starts up for the first time, that's the reward. Like, going down the road, that's when you forget about all the stress and the bullshit. Like, nothing knocks the rust off your soul faster than riding a motorcycle that you built.
Yeah, man, or watching that.
People to, like, build a bike and never ride it, I got nothing for you, man.
Watching the sun come down between the handlebars of that motorcycle that you built, that's where it's at for me.
Right.
That means
and
I'm heading west.
I don't understand guys that don't, and it, you know, there's cats out there that build multiple bikes that they just sit in their shop or in a showroom, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't get it, but if they're happy, you know, good for them.
Well, we're super honored to have you coming out to this show, man. And I mean, it is kind of sad that we have to make a special consideration just to prove a point about this. But at the same time, I'm glad we're in a position that we can. I'm glad we have some support from. I mean, God, I can't believe it. We have 14 of some of you guys are just like been heroes of mine forever. You know, I've been amazed at your work, and I can't believe we have all you guys together in one show. So I really appreciate that. What else?
No, I appreciate you having us. Like, I think it, you know, it's sad that it has to happen, but I think it's cool that it is happening, and maybe this will be the tipping point, you know, maybe people will take note and change the way things are being done.
Yeah. What else do you have coming up for Paper Street?
I just finished a little customer shovelhead for a buddy of mine down in Georgia, and right now I'm just been focused on this build for In Motion. So after that, I'm not really sure. I know right after the show, I'm headed back east to, I'm going to go weld some pipe for a little bit and make some real money. And then start up another motorcycle project. Just start up the next one.
Well, man, I can't wait till we get to Texas to see what you got. You know, other than the little pieces here and there that I'm watching, I can't wait to see the completed motorcycle and spend some time with you. I appreciate you calling in today, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait to see everybody down in Texas.
All right, buddy. Talk to you then.
All right.
Thanks,
see you guys.
man.
Right on. He's another one. Like, you know, from the first time I met that cat, he was just so unassuming, and, you know, his work is crazy, crazy other level work.
Yeah, and it can be, you know, it can be really challenging sometimes for guys like that, because the general public, they'd rather see, you know, leopard print and chrome.
Yeah.
And, you know, which has its place for sure, but they don't see the details. They don't go, oh, wow, that guy made the risers on that motorcycle, and he made the mid controls, and he made, you know, the grips, and, you know, everything. Like, there's not a bolt-on piece there, you know, it's everything's handmade. And sometimes, you know, unless you're really, you know, I say, you know, this over and over again, like, I've gotten so picky over the years about what a cool motorcycle is, that there's very rarely bikes that I look at and they, like, stop me in my tracks or make me go, oh, wow. You know, and, you know, Ryan's bikes are definitely that. You know, he's got some just the detail that he puts into it is crazy. So, and I can't believe I haven't met him. I don't know how that's even possible. We live in the same state, and I've never met the guy. So
hey, with the fall upon us and all that it is, you know, we were talking last week about motorcycle safety, considering the season, the conditions of the road, everything that's going on. But another thing to think about is the wildlife. The wildlife right now is on the move. And
why are they on the move, Chris?
Because people are trying to put them in the freezer.
That's right. They're trying to put them in the freezer. And it's, you know, actually out here in Colorado, Montana, you know, the West, it's elk or rutting. So they're, you know, trying to round up their cows. You know, deer rut doesn't start for a little while, but it's people just need to be super. I don't think a lot of people are aware of how much animal movement starts to happen now, and they don't understand why fall is such a dangerous time to be on the road when you're looking at, in terms of animals.
Yeah.
But that's why, And so riding at night, I mean, how many people do you know that have hit animals on the way to Sturgis? I can think of 3 right now.
Oh, I can think. I like. There's a ton of people living in Pennsylvania, man. It's part of your riding season. I mean, you gotta be on the lookout for it. And you got some news actually in a report about the wildlife vehicle collision reduction study. Mm-hmm. Anything relevant to what I'm talking about, or am I just?
Yeah, no. I think putting no. I think putting that. I thought it would be cool to put that up to just let people know that. The amount of deaths that happen by animals is really minimal, right? But the collisions are significant. There's a lot of collisions that come out there. We'll pull up, or we'll put on our Facebook page a link to that after we're off. But it's just an interesting study, that talks. It's not specific to motorcycles, but it talks about how. They're trying to kind of reduce that and how that looks, and what that looks like. And sometimes, it's right down to, there's places out here where they have like flashing lights and it says,
wildlife present.
Yeah. Not in even more so, they'll actually migrate, it's like elk migration path, and they'll, they don't have enough money to put a tunnel under the road or whatever. So it's, I think, safety departments or, transportation safety departments have gotten really on that. But yeah, it's an interesting study to read about. So
at the top of the hour, I have to take a real quick break here, and I just want to congratulate some people that are making their comments coming on. Gina Woods, RJ Powell, Chad Pearson, Tim Anding. Welcome all you guys. Daryl Urig said that Jeff is actually building him a bike right now. Or no, excuse me, that's Bill Rigg. He's building a bike for me right now, literally right now. Hope he gets it finished this week. Randy Darby's in the house with us. Gina says about your about the ride program, Ken, that it's not just the parking lots here in Chicago. They're scheduled to be indoor activities. Sounds like a great program. Jose Ivan in the house with us. Lisa Moriani. And Heather Callan. Brian Nichols. What's up to all y'all? Beverly Cochran. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Just catching up on Facebook a little bit. Didn't mean to stop you.
No, that's all right. Someday we'll actually have a producer.
Right. Or at least an engineer, damn it.
Yeah, somebody who can run the controls.
So usually when somebody says Mark Cuban's name, I kind of cringe because I think he's sort of a dick. Listen, I'm just trying to be honest,
Yeah, hey, I get it. But when you've got a private jet and you've got a partnership with Hysun Motors, which makes generators, etc. It seems like a nice gesture to let your private jet be used. And I think, when I think of private jet, I think of like a Learjet, something that's small. But dude, the picture of this thing, it's like a commercial plane.
Really?
Well, yeah, dude, it's like a 200-person like commercial plane.
Oh, he's a baller.
Oh yeah, he's a baller. And I assume he uses it, to let people know that, so I assume he uses it to transport his teams. I just got an email that I want to read live on air, if you're good with that.
Yeah. If it's from Mark Cuban, I want to apologize for calling you.
No, it's not. Not at all. It's actually from Dave Nichols.
Oh, right on.
And I think, I'll let me read it. Take up a little time real quick so I can.
Go ahead. So while Ken is pulling up this letter, let me tell you guys that The first ever In Motion show is going to be going on in Galveston during the Lone Star Rally between the 2nd and the 5th of November. You can go to LoneStarRally.com right now, get yourself some tickets. Cycle Source is there every year. We do our bike games, our show. Really good time right along the beach in Galveston Island. A lot of questions about whether or not this was still going on because of the activities with the storm, but those people have assured us that the path is clear and they're ready to have a party, so come on to Galveston.
Nice. That's great. And not only that, did you talk about the app? They just announced that Lone Star Rally is going to have their own app.
No.
So it's got GPS coordinates, all sorts of cool stuff. I just got the email on it this morning. So, yeah.
Someday Cycle Source will have their own app.
I don't think you'll need it. Dude, I don't think you'll need it.
Yeah, by then we'll be too old to read little cell phones.
No. I think, between, like, I read that thing and I'm like, oh, that's cool because it's everything that's LSR, right? But if you're gonna do navigation, you're not gonna go to the LSR website or the LSR app. You're gonna go to whatever you got, Google Maps or whatever, and so anyway, yeah.
So what's your live letter?
I can't read it.
Why?
Sorry.
Why?
Sorry, I jumped the gun. I thought it was something else, but yeah, it's not. It's you and I will talk about it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm good, man. This is crazy times, in terms of how busy things are. I got a ton going on, and Cycle Source has a lot going on. What about nominations, man? We're putting together nominations now for 2018. So there's probably a few people out there that are watching right now that have gotten the email that said, hey, we want your nominations for 2018,
Every year we ask a handful of people throughout the industry, influencers, people that are important to us.
Hate that word.
I know. But we've asked people to make nominations for what we do every January, and it's called the Best of Awards in our year in review issue. And we take, 16 awards, I think they are, and we just take a minute to give a nod to the people who work their asses off, the artists, the craftsmen, the parts companies, the manufacturers, just to say, hey, this was great from this last year in motorcycling. So you can look for that issue to come out. That's our January issue, and it hits newsstands the first part of December. Rolling into nominations now. Everyone will have all month next month as an opportunity to vote on this. You'll get instructions. We're going to send them out through social media. Everybody's welcome to vote on this because it is the readers who nominate, vote, and ultimately choose the Best of awards. So
nice. That's great.
Yep.
I'm excited to see the next issue for sure. There's gonna be some good stuff in that. So I know you're working on it right now. I know that is a daunting task. I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do this every 30 days. I love it. I know you do. You do. But yeah, it's good stuff for sure. So.
Well, right on.
Cool, man.
I guess that's all we have for the week. It is the 12th of October.
All right. And we will be back here next week. So thanks everyone for joining us on the weekly news with Chris and Ken.
Hey, man. Every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, tune in. We'll do our best to bring the news.
Yes, we will.
We're out.
All right.